Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split Pick Show. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
Sorry, guys.
Don't worry. We got both of your names. They weren't at exactly the same time, and we're back to talk about a pretty good UFC card. To be honest, when I was doing my picks, which for once I've actually written down ahead of time, very unlike me. We'll see if my strategy works out well or does not. Main card I found almost impossible to pick on like a good 5 fights I was looking at, and even a couple of picks on the prelims I was looking at going, I just don't know. There's cases to be made for both guys. There's questions that need to be answered. This is a really tough matchup. The co-main event, the two guys have got identical records, practically the same age. Obviously one's had an extensive Muay Thai career, and I think that definitely factored into my pick. But this card's ridiculous. Obviously main evented by Rob Font and Jose Aldo in what could very easily be a fight before a fight title eliminator. So not the title eliminator itself, but the fight to get the semi-final, as Chael Sonnen would say. A great card. Some news that we're going to start with, and a Bellator main event that everybody should be watching, because you could almost argue that it is two champions facing each other. Both really, one having the belt, the other one never really technically lost the Bellator belt. So,
yeah, wait, it is two champions. He is right now the rising champion. So, unlike last time, this time he can actually be simultaneous champion of two major organizations,
which would be nuts.
Pretty mouth-watering.
Never lost his belt. Never lost his Bellator belt. Just had a horrific injury, and these things happen. Pettis came in, took advantage. We will talk about that at the end of the show. For now, we've got to touch with a little bit of news because some shit's happened. And man, since we did our last show, Kevin Lee cut from the UFC. Whatever reason could this be? As I go into Dr. Zeus right there for a second.
Is it 4 losses and 5 fights? I mean, I'm not saying I agree with the decision, but it hasn't come completely out of left field. We were
4 losses out of
5.
Multiple injuries, which have to be taken into account. Those aren't his fault, but he hasn't been active. Missed weight badly in 2 of those 5 fights. And on top of that, tested positive for a banned substance and is banned for 6 months this year. So there's a lot of factors that come into it. Now, he was prescribed Adderall, which if you're diagnosed with ADHD, of course, is a drug that helps massively. But it's also one of the most obviously and universally banned substances in pretty much all of sports. This isn't some like USADA specific, you have to read the back of the label to make sure. Like, it's pretty fucking obvious that you can't take something that's based from methamphetamines in a professional sporting situation. So I think there's a few factors there. The other thing is...
Wait, was it an in-competition or an out-of-competition sample that he got busted for?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Because firstly, I don't necessarily think that any kind of methamphetamine is going to help you in what is essentially a very short endurance sport. You know, it's a real fucking grind. And taking any kind of stimulant isn't necessarily going to be a direct PED. If anything, I think it's going to work against you quite badly. I don't know for sure if it was an in-competition or an out-of-competition one, because obviously it's banned as an out-of-competition drug anyway.
So what I'd say is he popped for this in August. When did he fight D-Rod?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember. I think it was earlier in the summer. I really can't remember.
I'm not 100% sure.
Fly, look it up.
What was your question?
When did Daniel Rodriguez fight Kevin Lee? So here's the thing. I think from that, it might have been an in-competition sample, just based on the dates and stuff like that. It could have been an out-of-competition one. Either way, I don't think it's so much whether or not he took it as a performance-enhancing drug. I'm 100% sure he didn't for that exact reason. It wouldn't be what you would take, and it pops pretty easily in your system. It's not what you're looking for. I think it just more speaks to a level of August 29th. So he must have popped in his pre-fight, or we can assume in competition. And he's been taking it for 3 years. So my assumption would be that if he was popped for it out of competition, maybe it would have come up before. I don't know. But it still speaks to a level of immaturity in the sense that you're a professional athlete. If you can't be trusted to take something that's like number 6 on the list of banned substances, it's just one of these marks against another mark. And then you factor in that he missed weights to the point where he's now competing at welterweight. You saw him go up against an unranked welterweight and not look that particularly impressive, albeit coming off the back of an injury. You kind of look at him and think, for a guy that you're paying 110 to show and 110 to win, and he's not ranked in the division he's fighting in, and you don't really know, and he's 0-2 in that division, and he doesn't fight very often, and now he tests. There's a lot of black marks. There's also the fact, and this is what he said to El Harani, he's managed by the same guy as Francis Ngannou. And there might be an element that something's gone so sour with this management team that for fighters that they can do this to, who aren't the heavyweight champion, they're slightly cutting their losses with those guys and just saying, we're not at the table with you anymore. That's a conspiracy theory. In a way. But
it's ridiculous, but it's not, anything is kind of plausibly true of the UFC. They don't keep everything above board. They are known to be dicks to people. This is just proven. You know what though? Fuck it. I don't think it's a bad thing. Plus, he didn't get the Josh Barnett treatment, or actually they've done it to a bunch of fighters where they wait until the end of their suspension to release them. It's kind of fucked up when you consider that USADA doesn't have any real jurisdiction over like PFL or Bellator. Actually, did that change for PFL? Shit, I don't know. But my point is that you can go fight somewhere else, yet they wait until a fighter has completed their suspension before they release them. Tom Lawler, fucking Tom Lawler as well, Fucking wankers. In fact, no, it wasn't Josh Barnett. Tom Lawler's the example I was thinking of.
The UFC have had some shady practices, but listen, it might be the best thing for Kevin Lee. He's been fighting in the UFC since he was like 20 or 21. He was one of the youngest fighters they had on the roster. And he's probably not had an opportunity to bounce back and regroup and develop because of where he got himself to and how quickly it happened. And he's an awkward in-betweener. I think he probably needs a lower level to adjust to something like a welterweight move and really get to grips with it, understanding his body, understanding what he can and can't do at welterweight, and being able to kind of restart. I think Bellator would be a good option for him. I think PFL sounds like it might be where he's leaning to. Only worry I don't have with PFL is it didn't work out for Pettis, and I think you've got to go in with the mentality of still thinking you're fighting really good guys.
Well, you are. Well, if he goes Bellator, then I think welterweight is a viable option. Okay, they've got some really good welterweights, but they don't have a deep 170 division. Lightweight, there's a lot more rotation. Obviously, they've got a new champ who isn't necessarily the best guy in the division. That's an interesting prospect, but I think welterweight is very viable for him at Bellator. PFL, no. There's too many really good guys at welterweight that are probably coming back next year in PFL. That if he has any shot, he has to get his ass down at 155. If he's serious about making $1 million in PFL, I think 155 next year for sure.
But also it's mentality. Don't show up thinking you're going to be a big UFC star in a little PFL pond. I feel that's what happened to Anthony Pettis a little bit. I think he just kind of got surprised that he was in a fight. And by the time he was kind of...
Collard's kind of good, and Collard's on the rise, and Pettis is getting older and had been changing weight, and, I mean... Yeah, you're 100% spot on though. Like PFL is fucking ridiculous. And just going back actually to the Gaethje Chandler fight, it was pretty fucking cool to have the old, before it was PFL, it was World Series of Fighting, but the old WSOF champ fighting against like the two-time Bellator champ, two-time Bellator champ, the Bellator champ, and it being one of the best fights that the UFC can put on this year. You're like, yeah, There's a lot of fucking talent out there.
That fight was nuts.
Yeah.
So, statistically, who gets more from people who come from Bellator and who come from PFL? Who gets the better results in UFC?
Oof. I mean, definitely Bellator, because
they've been around longer.
Other than Justin Gaethje, right? So if you look at World Series of Fighting guys, would stack up well against UFC fighters. A lot of them, like the champs, were ex-UFC fighters. You know, like Jake Shields, John Fitch. You know, they had guys in there like Usamar Polares, like after his peak. The only one that's like kind of transitioned,
who dropped out of the UFC into WSOF, or was it the LFA or something? Well,
I can't remember where Rumble went actually,
but I think it was World Series of Fighting, and he completely bounced back. It happened to Arlovsky as well. So the difference is that World Series of Fighting is like for a while it was like a demotion, and there was the odd guy that would come through, and then there'd be a lot of bounce back.
There's been two. There's been Marlon Moraes, who, you know, has fought for the interim belt, and obviously Gaethje, who was the interim champ in the UFC. Other than that, you know, you had like David Branch, who was like a 2-weight champ and like WSOF, came into the UFC and for his second stint and fucking underwhelmed. You know, I had a couple of good results, but essentially just underwhelmed. That's really it. It's Gaethje and Moraes. When I think WSOF, I can't think really of any other serious talents they produce. Nick Newell, I rate. Nick Newell's fucking cool, like for sure. But Dana White doesn't like people with one hand. So, fuck that guy.
One hand racist.
Yeah, he did give him a shot in Contender Series, but you know what I mean? Like, give him more.
Hey, listen, Nick Newell is an inspiration to many people. Talk about Dana White. He's got COVID.
Yeah.
So he's doing everything he can to test negative for this Saturday. He says that he phoned the one person that he trusts more than anybody else on COVID.
Well, the only 100% proven cure for COVID is Joe Rogan's cum. So you guzzle a bit of Rogan's cum, you'll never die. Or you won't die for like 300 years minimum. Maybe 500.
Yeah.
Give some Cairo time.
All you need is a hyperbaric chamber, the world's best doctors, elite medication.
And some, what's that thing that they get out from the babies? Stuff's really good.
Oh, the embryo
stem
shit.
Cells.
Stem cells.
It's all about the stem cells, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to get some right now, but I can't.
Oh, mate. That's a whole level of deep conversation that this show is not ready for. So instead, quick one before we do the picks. Did anybody watch Triad Combat?
No. I couldn't even find the highlights of the fight. I've seen like the last 20 seconds of the Mir fight.
That was the same as the first 20 seconds. It was amazing. So it was Bellator, it was MMA versus boxing, like former boxing guys against old former MMA guys. Rampage Jackson coached the MMA guys. Shannon Briggs coached the boxing guys. Now, here's the thing. Just because, and they were in a boxing ring, but with slightly smaller, kind of not MMA gloves, but not like full sort of like 10-ounce gloves. Okay. So you couldn't guard in the same way. And instead of it being a squared ring, it was a triangle, which I thought ended up being exactly what I thought it was going to be. Really stupid, because a square ring is 4 angles of 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So you can still box somebody into a corner, but somebody can get out and you can kind of maneuver things around. It requires skill. A triangle is 360 degrees. So basically, if one guy got into this ropes, he was just trapped, and obviously there was way less middle. So most of the fights were just people pressed up against the ropes, clinching, trying to land body shots. Now, I can enjoy that because I quite like inside fighting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the stuff that most people like in boxing is all the stuff that happens in the middle combined with cornering people and against the ropes and all that kind of stuff. So that was a bit dumb. Mike Perry won against an actual decent boxer, Michael Seals. So that was great for him. MMA won overall. But then their main event was like 45-year-old Frank Mir, who hasn't competed professionally in like 4 years, did some like shit boxing match against like an old cruiserweight where he didn't get knocked out. And then they put him in this fight against Kubrat Pulev, who last year was fighting Anthony Joshua for 3 of the heavyweight world titles. He was never world champ, but he had 2 losses his whole boxing career. It was Anthony Joshua when he was the champ and Vladimir Klitschko when he was on his dominant reign. So you talk about a fucking good boxer. Like, what do people think was going to happen? Oh, I think this is going to be an even fight. They're both old dogs in there. It's like, no, they're not. One of them's a fucking Belarusian, Bulgarian, fucking 6'7" punching machine that took more uppercuts from Joshua without and not getting knocked out that I thought a human was able to inflict and endure. Against Frank Mir, who not really a boxer. So
this is basically boxing with small gloves and an MMA ref. That's not a good idea.
Yeah. And it was like a Mortal Kombat KO. He hit him with a few rights, wobbled in one, and then a left hook. And Frank Mir was just out. He was still on his feet, but he was just completely unconscious.
I've seen that bit. I mean, the man looked shit-faced. He was just stumbling around. It was awful.
He was not there. He was not there. And you can see Pulev is just like, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So that was dumb. But I'm kind of glad that MMA won that. I thought that was quite funny. But this is Triller trying to be really different. They're like, how can we be different? They won't fight in a ring or a cage. It's a triangle.
It's a silly idea. Why would you fight in a triangle? It makes no sense.
It's so that they could be Triller Triad Combat.
Oh, God.
TTC. And on that note...
They should have gone for like a different shape, but like a bigger shape, like a sextagon or hexagon. Or,
yeah.
I mean, hexagon would have been nice, 5 sides.
If you want to be bigger than the UFC, just be like, we give you the Decagon.
I kind of like the Bellator circle.
Equally works. They could have just done a circle. The same thing bare knuckle do. They do the circle. And it's a throwback to like original boxing rings. So I don't think there's any issue with it. And I kind of get people trying to be different. I just think it was a dumb kind of different. That actually directly affects how you box and fight in a negative way. Enough of weird shit. Let's talk about Font versus Aldo. I've written my picks down. And listen, this is a who the fuck knows in my opinion. And I really hate to pick against Aldo. But I'm just going to put this out there before I even talk about anything. I'm picking against Aldo. Because...
Samesies.
I'm picking for Aldo.
You're picking for Aldo?
Yeah.
Is that just because you're trying to be different?
No, that's just because I know better.
Okay. So I still don't really know where both of these guys are at bantamweight. And that's what's weird.
That's why you don't know who to pick. And that's why I know who to pick.
Okay. What's your logic? I want to know. Genuinely.
Genuinely?
You already know where I'm going. I'm not changing my mind. I just want to know, since you seem to have so much clarity on this. What are you seeing that I'm not?
Well, I'm saying that I don't think Rob Font can take down Aldo. So here we're taking down one big thing out the way. And the second thing is just so simple. I watched the last Aldo fight.
Yeah.
I saw what shape Aldo was in, and I was just like, damn, this guy is looking like better than he's looked for what, 5-6 years now?
Yeah.
And in my mind, we've got the new old Aldo, and I think he wants a title challenge. I think he's going to lose his title fight. Like when he fights for the title, he'll lose it, but he'll get there.
I would love him to get another title fight. I really hate picking against him. My logic is this. He looked fucking amazing in that fight against Pedro Munoz. And I think Pedro Munoz is really, really good. But he's also that guy that's just a couple of rungs below the real best in a really tough division. And the way that Rob Font beat Garbrandt, he did it over 5 rounds. He did it using his reach, his length, his jab. And that's what makes me worried about this. There's so much that Aldo has to get past to do what he likes to do. And it's not a 3-round fight. It's a 5-round fight. And if it was a 3-round fight, I would probably pick Aldo, because over 3 rounds, he is probably still in his weight class, very might be the best fighter in the world. I even think he could beat, I think in his title fight against Peter Yan, he was 2-1 up after that 3rd round. So for 3 rounds, he's the best fighter in the world. The problem is that his style makes it very hard for him to maintain that over 5 rounds. So he either has to fight a much slower pace than he's effective at all the way through, or he has to take rounds off. Font is not a guy you want to take rounds off against. And the way that he knocked out Marlon Moraes, you know, Marlon Moraes is, you can finish him on the ground, but not a lot of guys finish him the way that...
No, okay.
I'd love you to be right. I would love you to be right.
I also think that my personal opinion is that Rob Font is a more, as in, yeah, he's got knockout power. I'll say it, like they'll do, and he can connect and knock someone out. But I think he's a point fighter. I think he's Rob Font has got that reach. He's got a smart way of being, hit less than he hits people. He'll get eventually a few takedowns along the way, which I don't think he'll get against Jose Aldo. But I think Jose Aldo, to win this fight, has to knock him out. He won't win if he doesn't knock him out. That's my theory. Whether it's 3 rounds, 5 rounds, Rob Font's got more volume than Jose Aldo, especially in Jose Aldo's new kind of style that we've seen, where it's very much blocking and sometimes getting hit, but kind of rolling the punch and hitting harder than the other guy's hitting. That's what I've seen in the last few fights. I think that against Rob Font, that will work, and I think he will knock Rob Font out.
Josh, you've been a fan of Rob Font since before Rob Font fought professionally. So...
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I thought I'd be the only one picking Font on this. I think it's fucking close. It is razor close. You guys make a lot of great points. Truth be told, Aldo does kind of do well with like jab heavy, like longer guys, with the exception of Max Holloway and I guess technically McGregor, but that was like a 16-second fight. That said, Rob Font understands big moments. If you start stealing a round away from him, he responds immediately. He understands how to stop you in your tracks and steal your momentum. He just understands how to play this game on like another level. He's just so naturally like aggressive. Like Sly says, he really is a high volume guy. Like you pointed out, Matt, like when he gets going with his hands, he can fucking finish people and it gets pretty brutal. Aldo's been boxing with the Navy. He has been kind of adapting and kind of boxing more outside of just kind of having that Muay Thai counter striking style. That said, I think if he goes with the low kicks early, like he might be able to slow Font down. He can knock you out to the body, knock you out to the head, knock you out with leg kicks. Big fucking threat. But yeah, I think in a 5-round fight, it just favors Font too much. Even if he is kind of in the same mold with his jab, like a Renato Moicano, who frankly Aldo dismantled, had no troubles with. I think at this weight, at this age, Font coming up like he is, he's really peaking right now. Yeah, in a 5-round fight, I got to take Font, and I'm fucking putting my neck out, man. I'm going Font by KO. I think he just gets it done late on.
I'm saying Font by decision, because I do agree that I think particularly with somebody like Aldo, I think he's going to be very aware that he's fighting a high IQ guy. You got to be switched on at all times. I don't think he's going to be looking to take unnecessary risk. The thing I'd counter to you, and this is where I kind of drifted away from Aldo as well, is he's not really been a finisher at 135. He's very much fought intelligently, very defensively, sure, but he's won on decision, and lost on decision as well to Moraes. But I think everyone agrees that he won that fight, if you count that really for what it was, which is a win. The way he beats Chito Vera, the way he beats Pedro Munoz. Yeah, he did a lot of damage when he landed, but he wasn't really fighting with that finishing instinct. He was very much fighting to win the fight, not finish. And so I don't think that the Aldo that he was when he was younger, that would just explode in that first round and just go through people, in situations. I don't think it's that Aldo there. And that might be a benefit to him, you know, because he's seen all styles. He's seen before what Rob Font does. I just think that over 5 rounds, not 3, that's where I'm leaning. And you're saying knockout?
I'm saying for me it's a KO by Aldo.
Well, we are going to see. Let's move on to the co-main event. Both guys have got
This was the hardest to pick.
Both guys have got a 10-1 record. Both guys have got fucking outstanding kickboxing, well-rounded games, are tough as all shit. Close to the same age. Obviously, I think a little bit of a difference in height, but not much. Same reach. Who do I think's had the tougher test that they've passed? Hard to say. Brad Riddell's fight against Drew Dober was fucking crazy. And Drew Dober on the feet is a monster, absolute beast. Toughest guy I think Fiziev has fought. I mean, he's beaten Moicano. He's beaten Bobby Green. That was a close fight, but I have seen Fiziev do matrix dodges. I can't delete that from my brain. And I think that however great that fight with Drew Dober was, he's a little hittable, Brad Riddell. And I don't think Fiziev is as hittable. And I think he's a little bit quicker and more explosive. And I think a little bit more creative. He's got a professional Muay Thai career before he came into the MMA. So I think that's going to help him out. Yeah, I'm saying Fiziev, and I'm saying by decision.
Man, I'm going finishings again. I'm going Fiziev as well, like KO. I just think Riddell probably has a little more experience. Well, a lot more experience, but a little more wear and tear on him. Fiziev hits a little harder. Both of these boys are going to spend a lot of this fight just stood in the pocket. Yeah, I think Fiziev, he's going to get that finish, man. He just hits too hard. Like Riddell, he does a really good job avoiding taking big shots. But you know, it's like playing Russian roulette. You keep going up there and pulling that trigger, eventually it's going to go wrong. And that's what I anticipate happening. Fiziev, KO.
I think the same. I think Fiziev's got a bit more speed. It's just not as hittable, as you say. But he's also got unbelievable defense when it comes to anything wrestling-wise, whether it's a takedown, whether it's, you know, even he's got his back to the cage, he can quickly switch you around. So I think for Riddell, he's going to be stuck in a situation where if the standing up doesn't go his way and, you know, he's getting back to that distance, he can't come close either. So he's really stuck in a situation where he's having to stand distance. And I think at distance, Fiziev is a bit faster, a bit more evasive. Fiziev KO.
Well said. Okay, moving on to next nightmare fight to pick. Jimmy Crute taking on Jamal Hill. Both guys are coming off unfortunate fights. Both losses, but obviously both with a little bit of circumstance. Jamal Hill had the dislocated elbow against Paul Craig. That was fucking nasty and couldn't tap. Jimmy Crute obviously had that unfortunate paralysis of his perennial nerve in his knee from the kick with Anthony Smith. And, you know, I think he was losing that fight as it was, but obviously that's not the way that you want to go out of a fight. Bounce back fight for both guys. Aside from those fights, they've looked excellent. I have my thoughts, but I want to not just go first all the time. I'll pass this over to Josh. And
I'm going to go for Gueda, just because I want to see him fight as much as possible, entertaining as it gets, really.
That's a good pick, but we're talking about Jimmy Crute and...
Oh, sorry, am I on the wrong fight then? Sorry then.
Unless I've got the wrong order wrong.
Yeah, my order's Gueda Santos.
All right. No, it's definitely Crute against Hill next.
Ah, fuck. Well,
I'm on the official UFC.com website.
I'm on
be
UFC
slow
stats.
to update that.
That's where my issue was. Okay, let's keep on going with Crute and Hill.
Yeah.
So I have taken Crute just because this is actually purely by heart, I think, when I remember. I did pick Crute, yeah. Um, yeah, I picked him literally by heart. I just like the guy. I think he's more entertaining. There's not much reason. He's he's going to get hit a lot unless he can take it to the ground. If he takes it to the ground, Hill can't get up. It's kind of in a weird way, it's kind of a Vittori against Adesanya kind of fight, really, isn't it? In a weird, it's kind of similar for me. But yeah, I think that this time it's the Vittori guy that's going to win it, Crute to win it.
Yeah, man, I'm going Crute as well. I'm going Crute by KO. Like you say, I think he's going to be able to land some good ground and pound if he takes it to the mat. Equally, I think if they just stand and trade, it can easily go Jimmy's way. A tough one to pick, but
I really don't see it
I didn't take a lot of time over it.
If they stand and bang, this is not going Jimmy's way.
No, but I feel that in between, you know, kind of hiding the takedown, he's going to stand in the pocket here and there. You know, he's going to keep it interesting. You know, I think it's going to be a good all-round MMA performance from Jimmy. And yeah, I maybe I'm reaching, but I'm thinking Crute by KO.
Both guys have got better ground games than they're given credit for. It didn't show in Jamal Hill's last fight, but he's got some jiu-jitsu. In fact, if anything, I think one of the issues he had in that fight is he was probably a little too confident that he'd just be able to handle what would happen on the ground. I think this is a close fight because the one thing I'd say about Jimmy is he's a little slow.
Yeah.
He's a little slow on his feet. He's a bit of a plodder. And obviously he stays very grounded. He's got good head movement. He can counter. He does throw leg kicks. He checks kicks as well. Didn't do a lot of that against Anthony Smith. Jamal Hill's long and he's quick. And I'm still picking Crute, but I'm just saying that this wasn't quite as simple for me. I could see Hill picking up a little bit on what Anthony Smith did. Just being a bit clever, moving around, using his jab and trusting his own power to land when he's safe. But Crute's a big fucking boy. Powerful guy. He doesn't need to land that much to get the job done. So I'm going to say Crute by KO. But I was more 50-50 on this than you guys were.
Like I say, you know, on paper, it's a very close fight, but I don't know. It's something about, because I picked the Bellator one first as well. Something about going through that many kind of hard to pick fights. Apart from Fiziev Riddell, I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to smash them out. Pick. Just that Fiziev Riddell one was fucking me up. I was like, I really don't want to pick on this one. Just really don't know.
Talk to us about Clay Guida.
Just an entertaining, all-round entertaining guy. Doesn't give a fuck. Just goes in, gets hits. It's fighting as it's entertaining to watch, if that makes sense. That's like the entertaining kind of fighter. It's very rare that I've seen. I don't remember seeing a Guida fight where, you know, he would stand there and look at the guy for like 5 minutes, just like analyzing it. No, he just goes, bangs, and whatever happens. Like, this guy always looks a mess as well. He starts sweating, his hair's everywhere. He's always bleeding. It's good fun.
Best burp in the game.
So yeah, I hope he wins.
Josh.
Shit. I mean, I think he's actually younger than Santos, right?
Yeah, by a couple of years.
Yeah, I know, and I don't know why. I kind of know why. I'm gonna pick Santos by sub. I think Santos is still really fucking good. And he's got a very long frame, and you know, I can just see him kind of landing a triangle on Guida. You know, not that Clay gives up cheap subs or anything. The guy's a great wrestler. I just think Santos is so crafty. I'm gonna pick Santos by sub. I just think this fight is going to play into Santos's hands more than any other kind of fight, really, that he could realistically be getting right now. Yeah, I'm going to pick the Brazilian.
Yeah, I'm going Santos via decision for this one. It's hard not to see it any other way. I love Clay, but like you say, Santos is good, really good, and I don't feel like Clay is going to have enough of a variety of threat to worry him. He can be
if you're not putting
down.
him against the guy that's like faster than him and stronger than him, and like just an insane, like, juiced up wrestler or something, then you're not going to find a guy that Santos is going to struggle against. It's got to be someone like, you know, a real freak kind of athlete, like a much younger, faster guy.
You also need somebody who I think is a bit more three-dimensional. Like if you can mix the wrestling with striking well, be dangerous in both, you can take him down. Look at somebody like Grant Dawson, but with Guida, there's just not any threat apart from chain wrestling. And so he knows what to expect. Another guy who I think knows exactly what to expect, as I segue, Brendan Allen taking on Chris Curtis. This is a short notice replacement, and Chris Curtis is a guy that should really be down at welterweight. He got very lucky knocking out Phil Hawes, and it was a fantastic moment for the guy. He's been fighting for a long time, finally got to have a big moment, a bonus, you know, life-changing thing. I think it's given him false confidence to think he can go in with Brendan Allen, who is a full 1/10 of a meter taller than him. Amazingly enough, though, has a shorter reach. How about that? But I don't think that matters as much when the size difference is that high. And Brendan Allen's a big guy. Like Phil Hawes is not the tallest or the biggest middleweight. It's not the same animal.
Could be a heavy body shot.
Megatron hits fucking hard. He was getting his ass whipped in that one. Brendan Allen, I think he's just going to take him down, ragdoll him, and tap him out. The only thing, it's definitely not a close fight on paper. No one I can imagine is going to put any kind of significant money on Curtis. But he did fucking derail Megatron mid-ass whooping. So it's just kind of like that little thing in my mind, like, shit, does lightning strike twice? I mean, do you remember Dan Kelly? Dan Kelly came into the UFC, old as fuck, ankles taped to shit, and just went on a tear and beat like 8 or 9 guys in a row. Beat like fucking Rashad Evans point as well. Just insane.
Dan
like,
Kelly's a big guy. There's a difference. Like,
I'm just saying, what if this is like the next, like, you know, Disney sports biopic coming, you know? The fucking comeback kid, who knows? I'm not picking him though. I'm definitely picking Allen. I'm just saying. Wouldn't it be interesting?
I'm picking Allen as well. I think I said, what did I say? I said Allen via flawless victory, which I'm going to assume I meant knockout. But what I really mean by that is that I don't think he gets hit.
I actually picked Allen by sub. Same as you, no, Josh?
Yeah. You want to use the line?
No. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to use it. I don't want to be part of it.
Save it for the fucking prelims then, mate.
Okay, final fight on the main cards. Alex Morono taking on Mickey Gall. This was not a hard one for me to pick, as I'm sure you can imagine. Although the only thing I did think, Mickey Gall looked like a fucking beast in his last fight.
Was his last fight Mike Perry, or has he had one since?
No, his last fight was Jordan Williams.
Oh, yeah.
And he went through Jordan Williams.
Yeah.
That fight not on then?
Oh, no, it's on the prelims.
Oh, they've changed it. Sorry. I
They've
thought the
mixed
Brian
it around.
Barberena and Dan Weeks was on the thing. All right. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So that's the only thing I think. And I mean, if he can get it together, he's got all of the physical stats to be a beast in this division. He's tall, he's long, he's powerful in principle. Certainly looked powerful against Jordan Williams. But Alex Morono, I've just been quietly impressed with for a while. He's always in fights. You know, the Cowboy fight, okay, I think was a terrible idea for Cowboy. But he's had a lot of good performances in a lot of fights in and around that. Even when he lost to Pettis, he had a really good first round and a bit. And just kind of lost track a little. And it was Pettis, he knew it was his last fight in the UFC. Super motivated to pull it back and was able to kind of show some of his skill. So I'm going to say Morono. I think I said Morono decision.
Well, you looked that up, man. Yeah, like Morono is a real fucking threat. This guy can do it, you know. This guy is kind of knocking on the door of the rankings when he's like at his best, and Mickey Gall is just a perpetual disappointment. You know, this is a guy that lost to Joshua Fabia coached Diego Sanchez, which is just
by TKO.
Yeah, man. Fucking, you got TKO. Cool. I am going. Oh shit! How I'd like. Yeah, I had this one way down on the list.
Same.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
they've just
Morono.
changed it all around because they added a couple of fights or something. So I think we've all written our picks when it was a different order.
Yeah, I'm going Morono decision.
I'll go Morono by KO.
I'm saying I said Morono by TKO.
I think Gaul can just kind of, stall on the ground long enough just to kind of milk out, the whole 15 minutes, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Right.
So, do you want to do a quick pick for Barberena versus Weeks, or do you?
Yeah, I took Barberena by KO.
I just want a little side note on this one. Brian Barberena apparently just showed up in Las Vegas. Just like, give me a fight. I will fight anyone. Bring me someone. And they have brought him Darian Weeks, undefeated, debut in the UFC, 5-0, 28 years old. Picking Barberena because I know nothing about Darian Weeks, but just full respect to both of these guys. Just deciding a fight was going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think Weeks is more of like a boxer, from what I understand. Barberena, yeah, kind of an old school do everything kind of guy. Nothing well, but everything well enough, like a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm thinking Barberena as well. I'm going to go Barberena by decision. I think Weeks just looks on paper like he might be a bit too dangerous on the feet. I don't know if Barberena is going to be able to pull out a sub. Actually, shit, I don't know. Am I going to break at the last second? You know what? I'm going to change it. I'm going to go Barberena by sub. I think it's going to be a finish heavy card. It's going to be magic in the air. Fights getting finished left, right, and center.
Yeah, who did I go for? Yeah, Barberena KO.
I'm also saying Barberena KO. Maki Patolo, these are down the prelims. If you need to bounce, feel free. And you can send me the picks.
I can send you that now, Matt. So you have
all good.
Just go perfect for you. Cool. Guys, it's been lovely.
No worries.
Bye, Sly.
Bellator. And I hope that I can win this week's picks. I will be back for the big one.
Very nice, mate. Enjoy, do your thing. Thanks for your inclusion, as always.
Thank you very much, guys.
Just waiting for his picks to arrive any moment. There we go. Okay, let's storm through this prelim a little bit more quickly, but I do want to talk about these next two fights in a tad bit more detail because we've got Maki Patolo, the worst named fighter in the UFC, Coconut Bombs. It's growing on me though. I can't help but think it's growing on me. So maybe it does work. And he's taken on Dusko Todorovic, who has had a rough old ride recent times after a bit of a spectacular start to his MMA career, 10-0, all the hype behind him. And that hype has been smashed into his face as his face has been smashed into the ground 3 times in a row, I want to say.
Just twice.
Oh, just twice. I think it may well be now 3 times in a row because Maki Patolo hits fucking hard and he looked pretty damn good in his last fight, even though it didn't go his way. Yeah, it was the Julian Marquez. He lost that fight with 43 seconds left to go. And I think Dusko Todorovic is somebody that moves his head without understanding head movement. What do I mean by that? He knows he should move his head, but it's all this sort of like, aha, I'm just a moving target. You'll never hit me. And then when he gets hit, his chin's in the air and he's got no defense. And unless he's really fundamentally changing how he fights, I think Maki Patolo's got the ability to catch him. And when he catches him, he's going to catch him hard. And I think he's going to knock him out.
Shit, after all my talk of there being magic in the air, actually, I think Coconut Bombs is going to get this one. But I think he's going to get it by decision. Really impressed me in the Marquez fight. Totally changed up his style, fighting like a much more patient, educated fighter. I think if, he does get fired up in this one, yeah, he does. He's got heavy fucking hands. That being said, I don't think Todorovic is going to be able to do enough to piss him off. I think he's just going to take all 3 rounds. I think Maki Pitolo has just turned into a really good fighter. The Marquez one, kind of a comeback submission he got in there. Was it KO or something? It was a submission, wasn't it?
Submission.
Yeah. I just feel like Maki's good enough to beat a lot of these guys. I can't help but get hyped on him. I'm going Pitolo, but I'm immediately going back on my finish frenzy. Pitolo by decision.
Okay, and Sly went for Todorovic by KO. I've lost you, Josh.
Oh.
I've lost your picture.
Hot damn. Hang on.
I just see a name. I just see a name and blackness.
Coming back.
You're back.
Sorry.
We were all very worried there for a second.
Sorry, bro. I got the MacBook 16 with that little ribbon control panel thing, and I accidentally turned the camera off with just a brush of the finger. Technology is wonderful.
Sly went for Todorovic by KO. So it's going to be one of those weeks, mate, where it's either Sly or us winning.
Yeah, those weeks usually don't go our way.
We got to talk about this next one with some detail because
with the order all fucked up, I don't even know who is next.
Oh, Manel Cap against Zhalgas Zhumagulov.
Zhumagulov, yeah.
This was another fight I looked at and was just like, who the fuck knows, man? Because Manel Cap is actually looking like Manel Cap now. Your hype was finally appreciated to be real. But Zhumagulov is a fucking machine.
Yeah, man, just another one of these like Mongolian maulers or Kazakhstani maulers.
Kazakhstan, absolute beast. The Albazi fight, I think he got robbed on, and the way he went through Jerome Rivera, I can't not take that into consideration, and so I've picked him to win by TKO.
Yeah, man, he's also got wins over, Ali Bogatinov, Tyson Nam. I was very close to picking against my boy. But I'm gonna go with Carp. I'm gonna go by KO. I go Carp by KO. I think he's just, he's got over his fucking shit. I think he's gonna make weight this week. I think he's gonna come out of there and he's just gonna be fucking fireworks.
Very possibly. I just think that he's gonna be up against a guy that doesn't need to pass any of those mini tests to prove anything up into the fight.
Hey, who saw it coming? The dude forgot that there was a first round. It happens to the best of us. You ever get to work and be like, oh shit, it's lunchtime. My bad, guys. We've all done it. Don't judge him.
Okay, we're now going to go into speed round for the rest of this prelims. So, Jake Matthews against Jeremiah Wells. I'm picking Jake Matthews by decision.
Fucking might as well carpool, bro. Because we're going the same way. I'm going to be picking a few more decisions in these prelims. I was totally full of shit earlier.
I forgot
Matthews
to say,
decision.
Sly picked Zhumagulov by KO, and then he picked Wells by KO. So lots of differentials there. Then Cheyenne Bays against Mallory Martin. I am picking Bays by TKO.
Bays by decision. Also, I keep seeing her being listed everywhere under a maiden name. What the fuck's up with that? She's still married to JP, right?
As far as I know, maybe she couldn't accept his failure of losing and divorced him. I don't know. It's not very clear what his pick for her is, because I can't see one here. So I'm just going to say...
Has he picked the maiden name?
No, he's Vlismas by decision.
Yeah, that's Bays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cheyenne Vlismas.
Ah, that's what it is. Jesus, that's a weird name. Yeah, he's picked her by decision. You said Cheyenne Bays as well, did you? Or
yep, I think me and Sly are going decision. You're going KO, right?
Correct. Alonzo Manyfield next up, taking on William Knight, who I am really, really, really hyped about, because I think William Knight I don't think he's going to be like a top fighter, but I just think he's a lot of fun. I think he's really good. I think he hits like an absolute fucking train. And I think he knocks Alonzo Menefield out.
Could do, bro. I'm going the other way, though. I'm thinking Menefield by KO.
Sly agrees with you. He's also going.
These guys kind of cut from the same mold, man. Just sort of those exciting fighters that you're never going to see fight for a bout, but you always care about seeing.
This is true. Then we've got Claudio Puelles taking on Chris Gruchmacher. And I am going Gruchmacher. Sly is going Gruchmacher. He is saying KO. I'm saying decision.
Yeah, Gruch is okay, but this fight's, inevitably going to go down to the mat, and I think Puelles just gets the sub.
Fair enough. And then Jared Vanderar taking on Azamat Muzakhanov. I'm sticking with what I know, and that's Jared Vanderar. I'm saying TKO.
Yeah, interestingly, there's a lot of hype behind Muzakhanov, and I missed his Contender Series fight. But the one thing I do know about him is the dude's a light heavyweight. So, yeah, I kind of got to go with the heavyweight on this one. I'm going Vanderar by KO.
Sly is going for He's completely misspelled it, but he's going for Muzakhanov by KO. And then we have one early prelim fight, which I think they just have so many fights on the prelims, they can't justifiably have it all just be a prelim. So we've got Louis Schmolka taking on Vince Morales. I'm going Schmolka by, what did I say? Decision. Sly is going Schmolka by KO.
I'm going The Last Samurai by sub. Shit. Got the whole spectrum there. Everyone's behind Louis, though. That's what we know.
Very nice. That wraps up our UFC card, but it does not conclude our picks, because me and Josh are going to talk a little bit about Bellator's main event. Sergio Pettis, the man who claimed the belt in Horiguchi's absence against Juan Archuleta, now has to face the former champ who never lost his belt in the ring. This is going to be fucking exciting as shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love this whole Bellator Rising crossover thing they've been doing. The last time that Horiguchi did the crossover and claimed Bellator gold, he wasn't actually the Rising champ. Right now, he fucking is. He won his rematch with Kai Asakura. Excuse me. The dude has only lost to three people. One of them early in his career, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. But the last two losses were Kai Asakura, and if you can believe it, Mighty Mouse. Way, way, way back in the fucking day. And the guy's beaten like a who's who of flyweights and bantamweights since then. He's an absolute monster. He can wrestle. He's got that nice light karate style on his feet. He can finish guys. He's got power. He's got an awkward style. He hits in volume. He counters well. He's good on the mat. Pettis, he's a fucking black belt himself. Trains at Rufus Sport, which is very much like a kind of striker's dream, with like a good bit of wrestling mixed in. The guy has matured a lot. Since moving up to bantamweight, I think his only loss is Rob Font. These guys are fucking beasts. I think that Horiguchi is kind of like a miniature Robert Whittaker. And I think he's just too experienced and too dangerous for Pettis right now. This is just like a couple fights too early for Pettis to really, really push him like he's going to need to. Fuck. I'm really excited for this, though. I'm as excited for this as any other fight this weekend.
I think the general... Obviously, I know a little bit more about Sergio Pettis than I do Horiguchi. But from what I've seen, looking at his Rising fights, the Asakura fights, when he became the Bellator champ, and Pettis when he was in the UFC, and then his fight against Juan Archuleta, I don't see an element where, and I think this is the general viewpoint, there's nothing that Pettis does that you can point at that he does better than Horiguchi. And that's a little bit of a problem. Like you say, Horiguchi
submissions, but like that's literally it, I'd say.
It's not like Horiguchi can't handle himself on the ground and protect himself. And so really everyone just said, it seems to say, and this seems to be the case, that Horiguchi just hits a little bit harder, is a little bit crisper, and is probably going to end up becoming a simultaneous 2 promotion champion, which, I mean, is fucking crazy.
It's Christmas. I can't fucking wait, bro. I think he's going to do it. It's going to be insane. It's going to give rise to more cross-promotion fights. Probably never ever with the UFC. You know how they are. You know how Dana be. But it's fucking exciting.
I couldn't agree more. I'm picking Horiguchi by KO. I think you're going in the same direction, I'd imagine. Yeah,
Horiguchi by KO.
And we will see what happens. It's a fucking great mixed martial arts combat weekend. UFC's got the card before the card, but it's a fucking card with a great main event. Bellator's obviously got the title on the line. That's the big event to watch. Very quickly, just before we wrap up, Josh, did you see any of the highlights of Teofimo Lopez against Kambosos in the boxing?
Oh shit! No, I missed it. But I'm hoping Teofimo win again. Yeah.
Sorry.
Did Teofimo win again?
Teofimo lost.
Oh.
And Kambosos was a 13-1 underdog, and it was a fucking exceptional fight. The DAZN have got English highlights on YouTube. They're like 15 minutes long. I highly recommend checking it out. Absolute war, but
because how badly, how much of a dog was Lopez in his fight with Loma?
I don't know if he was as big as the 13-1, but he was the underdog. There's no doubt about it. And apparently he was talking all fight week that it's a first round knockout. He would be disappointed in himself if it's not a first round knockout. And then Kambosos knocked him down in the first round.
Shit.
But it's crazy. Kambosos, he'd won his last 3 fights by split decision. And I think that's why most people saw him as such an underdog. But the fight had been postponed so many times that all he's been doing for like a year and a half is just training and training and training just to fight Teofimo Lopez. Put in the fight night of his life.
I'm going to check that out then.
That's highly recommend it. Recommend to all of our fans watching. And at some point before the end of the year, I will be doing another boxing briefs with our boxing aficionado, Laurie Ray, where we can dedicate some time to take a break from looking at MMA and look at some great boxing matches in some detail with a real passionate expert in the attention that they deserve. For now, we're going to bid you adieu. Wish you a fantastic weekend of watching some excellent MMA fights, and we'll see you next week. Bye, Dave. Bye, Laurie. Bye, Trifo.
Bye, Laurie. Bye, Dave. All right. Catch you later, bro.